Have you ever felt forgotten, even while surrounded by family? Have you ever felt like you were slowly disappearing, even while sitting in a room full of people who love you? That's what happened to me. I was 80, still walking, still helping my brother who has dementia, still believing I had some control left over my life. Then one fall, just one fall, changed everything. It was early December. I slipped and broke my humerus. I went in for surgery, expecting a rough few weeks, but I didn't wake up for 3 days. Too much anesthesia, no food, no movement. And when I finally opened my eyes, I couldn't even lift a spoon. I thought I would bounce back. But my body had other plans. I couldn't eat. I couldn't shower. My only working arm started to fail. There was no one to help. No one came. I ended up in a hospital, alone. That's where I heard the words spinal stenosis for the first time. Then came rehab. Then my granddaughter's house, where I existed, but barely. No one was cruel. But no one really saw me either. Now, 6 months later, I'm still here. Still recovering. Still afraid to fall again. Not just because of the pain, but because of everything that happens after the fall. People think aging means slowing down. I've learned it also means being slowly erased. In this video, I want to show you the 5 brutal truths no one talks about when you're old, and what really happens after 80. Your body is no longer yours. Before the fall, I still trusted my body. It was slower, yes, a little stiff in the mornings, but I could rely on it. I could lift a pan, carry groceries, walk without thinking twice. That trust is gone now. After surgery, nothing felt the same. My body was heavy, shaky, unfamiliar. I couldn't eat without feeling sick. My legs refused to cooperate some mornings. My good arm, the one not broken, began losing strength too, probably from overuse and fatigue. Even basic things became frightening. Reaching for something above the counter, getting out of bed, stepping into the shower. I hesitated, because one wrong move could send me crashing again. And this time, I wasn't sure I'd get back up. Then came the spinal stenosis. I didn't know what it was, just that it meant more pain, more instability, more fear. Some days, my back locked up completely. Other days, my feet went numb without warning. It was like my body was playing tricks on me. But this wasn't just physical. It was emotional too. When your body stops obeying you, it chips away at your confidence. Suddenly, you don't just feel weak. You feel small, powerless, embarrassed. People don't talk about this kind of grief. The grief of losing the body that once carried your children, cleaned your home, held your world together. They say aging is natural. But no one prepares you for the betrayal of your own skin. I still look in the mirror and see myself. But what I feel inside is someone I barely recognize, alone, even while surrounded by family. After rehab, I couldn't return home right away. I needed care, help with meals, supervision while walking. So they sent me to my granddaughter's house. At first, I was grateful. She offered her home, cleared a room, said all the right things. But after a few days, I realized something painful. I wasn't really part of the household. I was an add-on, quiet, tucked away, out of sight. No one was mean. No one shouted. But that might have been worse. Because indifference is quieter than cruelty, and it cuts deeper. They had their routines, their screens, their noise, their lives. I was just there, breathing in the background. I'd hear laughter in the next room, Doors opening and closing, conversations over dinner I wasn't part of. Sometimes they'd forget I was even in the house. I stopped asking for things. I didn't want to bother anyone. I skipped meals, stayed in my room. I told myself, they're busy. But deep down, I was mourning something I hadn't expected to lose: my place in the family. You don't expect to feel invisible in a house filled with people who share your blood. I thought being around family would comfort me. Instead, it made the loneliness louder. I wasn't mom. I wasn't grandma. I was the old woman in the guest room. Eventually, I made a decision. I'd rather be alone in my own home than invisible in someone else's. So I left. Not because I was angry, but because I needed to remember I still existed. Losing control, one piece at a time. When I got back to my own home, I thought things would feel better, familiar, safer, mine. And in some ways, they did. But something had changed. Something inside me. I stood in my kitchen, reached for a coffee mug, and froze. My hand trembled. My back tightened. The motion that used to be muscle memory now felt like a calculated risk. That's when it hit me. I no longer trusted myself. Not with stairs. Not with stoves. Not even with pouring a glass of water. Independence doesn't disappear all at once. It slips away quietly. You stop cooking meals, so others bring you food. You stop doing laundry, so someone else handles it. Before long, your day is no longer yours. It's a series of tasks other people do for you, even if you never ask them to. At first, it feels helpful. Then, it starts to feel like you're being erased. I remember the first time I asked someone if I could take a walk outside. Not because I needed permission, but because I'd been trained to ask. That realization gutted me. I was no longer living. I was being managed. That's how control fades. Not through force, but through convenience. And once it's gone, reclaiming it takes more strength than most people realize. So I started fighting back. One drawer at a time. One choice at a time. I started deciding when I ate, what I wore, when I walked, even if it was only to the mailbox. Because if I don't protect my independence, who will? The quiet fear no one talks about. No one warns you about the fear that creeps in after 80. It's not the fear of dying, not exactly. It's the fear of declining, of not knowing which part of you will fail next. It's waking up and wondering, will I still be able to walk today? It's standing too fast and feeling your legs hesitate. It's dropping a fork and realizing your hand isn't strong enough to pick it up without help. I live with spinal stenosis. Some days I can move fine. Other days, a strange numbness crawls down my back. My feet don't feel the floor. I lose balance brushing my teeth. There's no pattern, no warning, just unpredictability. And that's the scariest part, not knowing. I've canceled appointments because I didn't trust myself to make it out the door. I've skipped showers because I was afraid of slipping. I've stared at the stairs for 5 minutes, arguing with myself whether they were worth the risk. This fear isolates you, makes your world smaller. You stop saying yes to life because you're too busy managing all the ways it might betray you. But the worst fear? That I might need another surgery. That my body will break again. And this time, I won't come back. I try not to think about it. But at night, when the house is still, the fear returns. And yet, naming that fear gives me power. I won't let it decide everything. Not yet. Not while I can still speak, still stand, still fight for what's left of me. Fighting to hold on to dignity. There comes a moment, after the hospital, after rehab, After being ignored in your own family's home, when you realize if you don't fight for your dignity, no one will. For me, that moment came on a rainy Tuesday. I had pressed my home health call button 3 times. No answer. I needed help to use the bathroom. I waited 25 minutes. By the time someone showed up, I had tears in my eyes, not from urgency, but from the shame of needing to ask, of waiting to be allowed to do something so basic. That was the moment I snapped. Not in anger, but in clarity. I had spent months letting others dictate my schedule, my movements, my needs. I had stopped asking for what I wanted and started accepting what was convenient for everyone else. I was so afraid of being a burden that I let myself become invisible. But there's a difference between needing help and giving up your self-respect. And I finally saw it. So I started taking back what was mine. Little things at first. I set my own alarm instead of waiting to be woken. I chose my meals instead of just saying, whatever's easiest. I brushed my own hair, even when my shoulder hurt. I insisted on dressing myself. Not because I had something to prove, but because I needed to feel human again. Each act, small as it was, became a declaration. I am still here. I still matter. I still get to choose. It wasn't always easy. There were days I needed to lean on the wall just to make it to the kitchen. Days I dropped the spoon halfway to my mouth. But every struggle reminded me, this is my life. My body may be fragile, but my will is intact. Dignity doesn't require perfection. It requires participation. So I participate in every decision, every step, every breath. Not because it's easy, but because it's mine. I'm still here, and so are you. They say getting old is a privilege, and it is. But they rarely tell you what it costs. It costs your body, your pride, sometimes your place in your own family. It costs silence, patience, loneliness. It forces you to relearn everything you thought you already knew. How to ask for help, how to rest without guilt, how to stay visible in a world that moves too fast to notice you. And yet, here I am, still standing, sometimes wobbly, sometimes slow, but standing. If you've made it this far, maybe you're on a similar path. Maybe you've fallen. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you're sitting alone in your room, wondering when the phone will ring, or if you'll ever feel strong again. I want you to know something. You're not alone. Everything I've said, every hard truth, every broken moment was real. But so is the recovery. So is the strength that comes back in small doses. So is the dignity you can still claim, no matter how much you've lost. I don't share this story to scare you. I share it because I wish someone had said these things to me before I fell, before I believed I was just another old woman with a weak arm and a broken spine, before I started shrinking myself to fit into the expectations of silence. You are not broken. You are not invisible. You are still you. So fight, softly, steadily, bravely, for your independence, for your voice, for your peace. And the next time someone says, "Be careful, you're old," smile gently and reply, "I've made it this far. I still know how to stand." Thanks so much for being here with us today. We'd really love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us one thing you took away from this video and how you're planning to use it in your life. Your thoughts truly matter to us, and reading your comments gives us the energy to keep going. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who might need it.